Good morning. It's always a little bit hard being the first one on, so I'll just take that before I start. Firstly, I do want to thank, obviously Ovarian Cancer Australia for inviting me to speak this morning, and also to the Cancer Council for this lovely space that we're able to meet in this morning. Before I start, I'd just like to make a little disclaimer, if that's okay with everyone. The presentation that I'm about to give is about supporting carers, which is incredibly important, as we know. However, I would like to say that my intention is not to make the women here with ovarian cancer to feel guilty in any way when I'm talking about the carers and the role that they play. I just wanted to make that disclaimer. It's important that I do that before I start. I would like to acknowledge everyone who has come here today to this forum, whether you are a lady with ovarian cancer, a carer of a lady with ovarian cancer, family and friends, or just people that are here to support someone else. I just thought I'd start with just some statistics around carers. There are more than 2.7 million carers in Australia, according to the Bureau of Australian Statistics. The carers can be any age. There are, of that number, there's 272,000 children and young adults who are carers. Carers are partners, they're parents, children, siblings, or friends. So, have you ever looked at a job vacancy in the paper, online? So the following is a job vacancy that you may be interested in. The job description is, no previous training required. Not many jobs want that these days, do they? You may be expected to live in at place of work and provide cooking, cleaning, shopping, laundry, maybe some nursing, entertain, transport, financial management, secretarial duties, and emotional and psychological support. And it's a very good, it's desirable to definitely work well under stress, if at all possible. So the hours of work, well, you're actually on call for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Look, the payment, there's actually no remuneration. You may be eligible for an allowance or benefit from the government, but there is a strict criteria. And I know there's strict criteria these days. Okay, so holidays. Well, actually there's no paid holidays, no shifts. If holidays are taken, you will be expected to continue your usual duties in maybe just different surroundings, but the satisfaction of knowing that you are helping someone you care about. So there is that satisfaction with this job vacancy. There's no occupational safety checks, probable decline in physical health and emotional well-being, little personal time, could experience social isolation, and as I've mentioned before, stress. But the fringe benefit, as a job, sense of self-esteem, learning new skills, meeting a wide range of people, and developing new friendships. So I suppose when you look at that job vacancy, some of you might feel that it's very exaggerated, but there might be others that thinks it's very real for them and that they're living it right now. So I just wanted to put up on the screen just some of the comments that I've heard from carers that have been caring for somebody with ovarian cancer or any type of cancer. And these are just some of the phrases I've heard is, I wish I could fix this. It should be me, not her. I don't know how to help her. I can't talk to anyone about how I feel because it shouldn't be about me. I should be able to handle this. Is any of these comments familiar to any of you? Yeah. I have often used the analogy of that it's not like a broken tap, a leaking tap that you can fix, that you just change the seal, or it's not like the car that needs a good grease and oil change and then it'll actually run better. I've actually found, especially with males carers, that those analogies work really well for them because they get it. It's like, I'm so used to fixing and I can't fix this, the person that I love that has ovarian cancer. Quite often, carers are their own hardest critic. So, information. Another thing, can you imagining the worst is more frightening than knowing what might happen. Knowing the facts makes me much less afraid. Just another quote. Some people don't cope with knowing all the facts and prefer to, let's say, put their head in the sand. Does that sound familiar for anyone? Unfortunately, this strategy can work for a while, but it can become very unstuck if things change and they have not been keeping up with what's been happening. So I think when it comes to information, it's important, it's true for both women and men with ovarian cancer and their loved ones. Everyone has their different way of coping, which includes how much or how little information that they need. And some people need it in a lot and can cope with that. And then there's others that it's just, please give it to me in little bits of what I can cope with. And I think that's for both women with the ovarian cancer and their carers. The important facts are the information is provided by a credible source, such as your healthcare team linking with cancer organisations. I do put here caution, ensure information from a credible source. People can get caught up in Dr. Google. I've done it myself, so I'm going to be here and say. And unfortunately, there is a number of very wrong and false information on the internet, and I think we have to be very wary of that. When you're wanting information as a carer, and this is vice versa, if you are the lady that has ovarian cancer, it's really important that information and permission is sought to be part of being involved in provided information. Do you know what I mean by that? That it's not just a given that all information is provided to you. So it's about having permission. Is it okay that I come with you? And is it okay that we talk together with the doctors and that I know what's going on? The most important thing, I suppose, again to remember is that your healthcare team and the cancer organisations are the most reliable sources based on their knowledge, and that's what the evidence suggests. I know I just repeated myself, but basically the internet can be a bit dodgy, a lot of it. Just put it out there. However, talking to other people in a similar situation can be very helpful. But remember that you can't put everyone in the same box, and that you are unique. You may have similar experiences, but you are unique as an individual. So, words of a carer, and this is just around about knowing information. It helped me because I felt I knew as much as her and therefore enabled me to cope with the issues at the same time she was trying to cope with the issues. I wasn't trying to guess how she was feeling or what she was experiencing. I knew why, or at least had some understanding. It must be awful if you were caring for someone you loved and you did not have the full picture and had no idea why they were reacting the way they are. So that's actually from someone that I had contact with, a male carer. And so anecdotally, I've had many conversations with people caring for their loved one with cancer who just struggle to understand what is happening to their loved one and why they are reacting the way they are. They just want to, why? And then they get cranky because they don't know, and what am I doing? And And, you know, a conversation I've often had with a person with cancer and their carer is the analogy of protecting each other from each other's emotions. Being concerned that you don't upset the other person. So then what happens, the hard stuff is not spoken about because you're so busy just trying to protect each other from how you're feeling, because you're worried that that's then going to upset them. And then it just becomes this, no one's talking and there's the white elephant in the room. So for this reason, I encourage that women communicate with the ones or one closest to them and vice versa to keep the communication open and honest. So how do you communicate? Thinking about how you communicate. Communication is a skill many of us take for granted. We communicate every day in the way we talk, in the clothes we wear, in our body language. Communication seems one of the most simple and natural things that we do, yet when it comes to dealing with anything sort of conflict or emotionally sensitive issues, many of us have great difficulty. So why do we communicate? You know, do we communicate to share information, to clarify, if you're not understanding something that you're clarifying, to share your feelings, express your needs and wants, to get information? What do you do if you've got to get information? Do you have to ask, usually? And social interaction. And then you've got the family communication. So you may be a family with children, maybe a single parent, you may be a couple. You may consider a family as the people you live with or your close friends. Everybody has their own understanding of what their family is. So information is about to keep everyone updated, to be honest about the information provided, which would hope alleviate stress. Because if people don't know information, and I know this from even families with young children and adults having conversations. I don't know about if you've got children, but my children, when they were little, flappy ears, radar antennas, and they hear adult conversation, they hear little bits of it, and then they only hear bits and then they make out the rest, which quite often is completely wrong. So honesty, keeping it real, open and honest. Expectations for all that are living together, or for the people that are not living together, and it's about you as the person that has cancer and about the person that is caring, that you're able to talk about what are your expectations of each other and how you're going to look after each other as a team. And then of course appreciation. Appreciation, all of us value being appreciated. It does not have to be buying expensive gifts. Just saying words of affirmation may be enough. Has anyone ever heard of the book, The 5 Love Languages? So I just want to make it's a lovely book by Gary Chapman, and he's done several books. There's 5 love languages for couples, 5 love languages for children, 5 love languages for adolescents, and I would just highly recommend the book. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, giving of gifts or gifts, and physical touch. And one of the most important things in a relationship is often trying to link in with the person's love language. And it can be your friend. It doesn't have to be a partner, but you know, it's for children, it's for adults, it's for friends. So I just wanted to say it's a recommended book, and it's very good. All right, so tips to better communication. I suppose it's about listening to what has been said instead of thinking about what you're going to say next. Try not to interrupt, and that's sometimes hard because you're waiting to say your next thing. Are you really listening to what the other person is saying at the time? I think we can all be guilty of that. If you're not sure you understand what is said, ask for clarification. Silences are okay. You don't have to talk all the time. Just being there is important. And that is often a really big struggle for a lot of people, is just being silent and sitting. So going on to the roles. So what happens when we lose our varied life roles and carer becomes our only life role? If you look at the slide, the role of the carer is varied. Sometimes the carer can lose sight of what the roles are outside of their actual caring role, and they then can often feel isolated, loss of confidence, and overwhelmed with maybe some of the new roles they've taken on. So that's just a little bit of a puzzle where it's, there's all these different things, such as they've been a traveller, they've got hobbies, they've got friends, they could be a student, they're working, and they don't. It's just don't quite fit together at the moment, and caregivers taken over the other parts of their life. What do carers miss out on? Sleep, exercise, maybe just reading a book, craft if you're into crafts, spending time with friends, man-shed time, which is important for a lot, or just pottering. Just lose sight of not being at home and pottering and doing nothing. That's some of the things that they can lose out on. Also acknowledging here that I know people that are diagnosed with cancer lose out on this as well. Should be feelings. Okay. There is no right or wrong way to feel when someone you love or are close to is told of an ovarian cancer diagnosis. There will be shock and numbness, sadness, just naming a few here, feeling isolated, feeling sad for the person that they love, the woman that has been diagnosed with ovarian cancer, maybe feeling a loss of plans. You might have had things organised, stress and exhaustion, just that overall fear and anxiety about what is happening. You might have some anger and irritability, maybe even some resentment to having less time for yourself or taking on roles that you usually wouldn't do. These feelings are normal reactions or responses to a very stressful and life-changing event. It is made often more difficult if the carer feels they are the source of strength to the family, friends and loved one with the ovarian cancer. And we often see that, as I think you saw in the beginning, where they say, I should be able to deal with this. So often the brave face comes on and no one else would know that they're actually struggling and exhausted inside. So it's about recognising your feelings, it's about sharing your feelings, and it's about trying to manage or seeking help to deal with the difficult emotions. So the tips and strategies around identifying your emotions, putting on a brave front face, as I said, to be strong and avoid showing your emotions. See that a lot until you get them maybe. So most of my work now is actually in a ward rather than an outpatient service. I'm in the ward. Amazing how many I get near a lift on their way to the toilet, and I'll just be going out and I'll say, hey, how you going, Joe? And I've just been in there having chats with them, and they're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then I just think, oh, I'm just going to walk out to the lift and just pretend, I'm going to. Run into Joe. Joe. Wow. He put on a brave face. Yeah? Same with anyone that has a cancer diagnosis, can put on a brave face. Identifying how you feel is an important step in dealing with your feelings. Talk with a health professional or attend a support group. There's quite a few around, and you know that you're able to link into. Talk to family or friends you trust. This is important, that won't judge you. You know, there's some family and friends that you might talk to and they've kind of got the appointment for the psychiatrist, rather than let's not judge, let's not pathologise, let's sit and talk this through and let's see. Without judgment, this can actually help relieve stress. Now, this is hard, but this is about attending to your own needs as a carer. So, see the cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first. The risk of being the one to care for someone else is that you neglect yourself. There is often a perception by the carer that the person who has cancer is the only one who has needs. So they put their own on the back burner. Do you think that's right? So, self-care. If you don't self-care, you're going to go back to, obviously, insomnia, can't sleep, worry, loss of hope, purpose and meaning, feeling tense or agitated, poor concentration and memory, muscle tension and muscle aches and pains, emotionally withdrawn. Substance abuse, alcohol consumptions, prescriptions and non-prescription drugs to cope, feeling isolated, weight loss or gain, fatigued and withdrawn. So how do carers achieve positive change? Firstly, it's about recognising that you have needs. So important. Try to prioritise your needs. It's hard to do, but establish which activities will deliver the most benefit to you in the terms of management. Set realistic goals and problem solve to ensure that you are included in the picture as well as the person you're caring for. Communication. Talk it out and listen. Be honest. Remind yourself that you are an ordinary human being with some extraordinary qualities, doing the very best you can every day with your life, and that you are more than enough. Remember I said often a carer is their own worst critic? There is only one rule for being a good talker: learn to listen. All right, so communication, as I said, is very important, which we've gone over. Okay, then the next one is looking at pleasurable activities. Now, I am certainly not going to stand here, and some of you might be saying, oh, this sounds really idealistic, okay, and I know it does, all right, but I just want to, if you can even just take one thing out of it, you know, but you are the expert of your own lives and your own family and your own, whoever is caring for you, you will know what will work. These are just some ideas. So some could be idealistic. You know, oh, have a massage, yay. You're probably there going, when the hell do I get time to have a massage? All right, binging on TV or movies, flowers or a meal out. You know, I don't know, taking a bath while listening to music, taking a drive, becoming absorbed in an activity, hobby you enjoy. Looking after your health, exercise, healthy diet, sleep, GP. Attitude. Focus on what you can change and influence in your life versus that which you cannot change. Accept that you make mistakes and will have not so good days, and that's okay. Focus on your strengths. Life is a journey with multiple destinations. Coping strategies. Socialising, another coping strategy. Talking to friends on the phone, support group contact with other carers. One of my favourites, using humour. Maybe not everyone likes humour, but I think humour and laughter is an incredible stress release, and you either can do it together or do it with friends, but humour certainly has gotten me through some rough times and rough days. Planning an organisation. Planning an organisation. Keep calm and get organised. I've got to wrap up. So I'm just going to quickly go through spirituality. You will have your own understanding of spirituality and what that means for you. So I've just chosen just a few to give you an idea. Relaxation, again, you might go, how on earth am I supposed to relax? But some ideas for you to consider. And most importantly is remember, there is no correct way to say or do. Go easy on yourself. You're doing the best you can, and that is good enough. And then my last is Anne Hathaway, the lovely actress. You're only human. You don't have it together. You don't have to have it together all the time, every minute of the day. You know what? I just completely blew that, so I'm going to start again. I have to finish with this. You're only human. You don't have to have it together every minute of every day.